It's time, boys. It's time to discuss something on my mind today. It's the general thing. Why do games popularity decrease, and why do we need to care about it? Well, it's basically one of those things that why we need to actually check on games in general. Well, in terms of that, many people will actually go for it and talk about the devs itself if they are actually pretty well communicated with the community itself. That's why they need to actually get to know the community. So if the community wants something, they need to approve it. And maybe if there's something wrong about the suggestion, then they wouldn't add it into the game unless someone there who doesn't really listen to the community, then he will be getting a little bit bashed that too much, or maybe even a small amount. Then how about why do we need to care about these kind of things, and why do in general do games flop? Well, how about I give you five things or maybe four. So first of all, we need to talk about the security of the game. The second one, is it fun to play? Is it balance? And then the third one, the bugs, the issues about the game itself, and in general, the why do we need to care about it? And then number four is where we are gonna be talking about the characters or the story in the game itself. So yeah, let's start. Number one is security. Security is basically what you call the progress on the adjustment in the game itself, or maybe the protective system into the game where hackers can't hack into the game itself, or just steal asset in general. So first of all, we need to talk about that. Why do games kind of flop in that kind of direction? Because of your security. Your security suck. So if your security suck, then many hackers will actually play your game, and if you don't actually fix your security in that specific game, then it will likely in general goes out of the consumer's mind, where they don't actually proceed to play your game because of this hackers or hacking situation happening into that game. So specifically, that's one way to actually lose popularity in the game if you don't actually fix your protection into that in the game itself. In specific, there is a lot of games that are actually good but has a loss or loss of touch in hacking problems or in protection in general. So that's really a problem that they needed to fix. Okay, number two, is it really fun or is it unbalanced? So first of all, why do we need to talk about unbalancing or balancing in general? Well, it's what you call having fun, because if you don't know, any other games would likely most top it off with a good actual gear or set that many people will actually follow for. So if this is actually a good build, then I actually want to go for it. If it's abusable, then I'll do it. And many people will actually go for it and use that abusable thing so that they could abuse many players that doesn't use that skill in general. So yeah, that's where balancing comes forth, because it's basically what you call balancing into the game itself, because of how it can be different or differential because of how hitboxes work in the game, or how much you spend time into the game itself, like Apex Legends. Let's talk about that where there is a lot of unbalancing in the game itself, maybe weapons, maybe character itself. So that's where the devs come in, where they would sloop up and then fix some of those issues that community would suggest for it, that they needed to nerf this or upgrade this or buff this. So that's how it is. So may also remember this, that many suggestion would actually go for it that they needed to buff this, even though this is actually a good skill. So that's where you need to come for it and think of, okay, is it really that good or is it really that bad? So That's a one way for you to think of if it's actually good. You need another's opinion, or your employers or employee, I don't know, employee's opinion, or the one you hired. So you need testers in general so that you could actually, if this is actually a good balancing into the game itself, you need to listen to them, unless they don't actually do stuff into the game rarely. So that's another issue. You need a good tester so that you could actually proceed to give out a good balance, or you need to listen to those honest people that would actually give out their actual honest opinion into your new stand or new skill that you are putting into the game itself. So that's one of those things. So that's where it comes for into the balancing and then unbalancing, and then we have fun in general. So if it's actually fun, then many people will actually play it. That's where popularity will rise off, because if it's fun, then many people will play it. Like Yaba or Your Bizarre Adventure today, where it's been out for 2 years or maybe more, it's still playable because of game modes like Metal Ball Run, and then we have 1v1 to v2, and then we have the main game in general. I'm still banned from it. Please unban me. Thank you. It's make me do it. That's where you actually get to have a very different mod, like 1v1s to v2s, maybe dungeons where you actually give out any rewards, in general, where, like, let's say Grand Peace Online, where they have a wave system where they give out at level 25, they give out a fruit or guaranteed fruit, but it's always common, like Suke and Barry itself. So we're not gonna talk about it. Maybe next time. Maybe I'll talk about next time about GPO itself and Yaba. I'll do another separate video about them or reviewing about them. So yeah. So in general, that's how you actually find out if the game is actually good with balancing, and then coming forth with the actual story itself. So let's talk about story. I'm not gonna talk about the bugs. Maybe later. So let's focus about the story itself. Maybe if the game is producing or into RPG, maybe they could give out a lore vibe. So that's where it comes, like Verdant Moon. Verdant Moon actually have some of those, what do you call this? A lore system where Eon talks about, where many people talks about this girl or this god specifically, where it happens, all of those things that happening, and many community will actually produce those stuff, or piece them together to actually get all of those lore pieced together, and then boom, those are great story itself. Like, give hints to the players or to the player base or maybe community itself that actually go for it and actually made of things that would actually, it doesn't really matter if you have if you gain a lot of popularity, if your game is that good, many small players or many adjustable player will actually play your game if it's actually remindable or redeemable for us to actually play your game. So in general, if there is a good story, maybe I'll keep doing it. So that's how it is. In grinding terms, I would say if it's too grindy, then I wouldn't be playing your game, unless there are some people who actually played it for months and months. I am not a specific player to actually play for months and months. Maybe I do. In some terms, like Your Bizarre Adventure, I played it since, I am not sure, since the Requiem or the Silver Chariot. That was the formidable respect that we have there. So that's how it is. And now I'm banned from the game. Okay. Let's move on from that one. Let's talk about bug itself. So bugs or game breaking bugs that would actually happen in the game itself. If you are a tester like me, I am a tester in a game called Bizarre Heritage. So in terms of that, you need to actually report it to the devs. If it's abusable, then a whole likely many people will actually abuse it, in terms of because it is a bug that could actually hurt the community itself. So you better tell the devs that they needed to fix this. In optimization wise, that is the huge problem many games encounter for it because of lag spikes from base, or maybe the server itself. That's where Roblox come in, because the game itself is pretty in 60 FPS, maybe even lower than that if you have a very bad PC, or maybe laptop itself. So it will be likely go forth from client base to the server itself. Maybe if you have a good computer, like, let's say, like Republic of Gamers or something like that. I don't know. Not a sponsor, by the way. Please sponsor me. In terms of doing that things, it would likely go for that. We can actually say that it's obviously into the client base, but if it's in server base, many players would speculate it wouldn't be fun in general. Like, I could actually talk for it in Project Star. So in terms of that, we could say that the game is not playable. Yeah, so many players or many consumers of your game doesn't really go for it, and then your popularity plummets. Talking about popularity doesn't really mean that you needed popularity increases your game. It increases your salary or your Robux outage, so that you can get a lot of outage from many players itself if they buy something like, let's say, GPO, your Bizarre Adventure, your Project Star, many other games like Zanga Origin, like that could actually go for it because they have game passes that could actually work for us, or rather for the player that actually might be using that stuff. So that's why in general they have game passes, so that they could actually get some Robux itself because of their hard earned work. That doesn't really imply to getting your money back in general. So you better work your ass off if you want to be a developer, and if you don't have money, then you have to do commissions. So that's how it is. And in meaning into that, there's a lot of problems that could happen in the game itself. That's where testers come in, that they would actually give out suggestions, or tell the devs that they needed to fix the bugs, or it will be unplayable. Some many unpopular games do have a very good system that you could actually enjoy, and that's where many player will actually go play other unpopular games, because it's popular games is overrated. We need to actually bring forth those unpopular games into the main page itself, so that Roblox could just it Roblox shouldn't be popular base, because if you are actually doing a 2 million user itself, then you should focus on to the favorite favorite things that players would actually go for. Like, popularity doesn't mean that it is a successful rate. That's where many consumers would, or many developers would come for it, because popularity is really good. That means success, right? It doesn't mean that if you have a very good community, then that's where your hard-earned work or hard script and stuff like that, that's where it comes in. Because of, if they love your game, then they would stay for it. And if there's a new update, then it's speculated that there will be a lot of players who would actually play your game again, because there is a new update. Maybe they'll come back later because you have things that is happening from behind or in real life and stuff. So there are those specific things that could happen into your game why it's unpopular or something. That doesn't mean that your game is bad. It means that it needs a bit of improvement in general. So things like that, I would say this would be everything that I want to talk about. I think I've covered all of those things, maybe even more. I don't know. Maybe talk in the comments so that I could actually check it out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you like my vids, or if you want to subscribe, I know it takes a bit longer to actually do this, because I am busy. To be honest, I have a lot of things happening in the back of the screen right now, because I am. It's 6 months before I actually graduate, so. Oh, I'm scared. But yeah, we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, and if you like it, then subscribe and hit that like button so that you can help successfully get 1,000 or maybe even more.